Shaka Zulu was not a warrior. He was a strategist, a visionary, a nation builder. At a time when African societies were fragmented, he united the Zulu people into a powerful kingdom through discipline, innovation, and military genius. His bullhorn battle formation, short stabbing spears, and strict training transformed his army into an unstoppable force. But Shaka Zulu's brilliance went beyond the battlefield. He built a structured society based on merit, loyalty, and efficiency. He understood that unity, strategy, and disciplined leadership were the key to a powerful nation. If African leaders today embrace his mindset, strength through unity, innovation and strategy, and discipline in execution, Africa will not just be rising, it will be leading. Shaka Zulu's legacy teaches us that true power comes from organization, vision, and the will to build. The question is, will Africa learn from him? When we are talking about leaders that transformed Africa, we are looking at someone like Shaka Zulu and what he did to transform Africa. And I would love to go through a brief bio again about who Shaka Zulu was. Because when you hear of African liberators, we hear of Kwame Nkrumah, we hear of Julius Nyerere. My question to you watching is, do you think those people are those we should be emulating today? Were they visionary leaders? And we are going to find out in this video. At a time where Africans are looking for heroes, leaders, those that they can look up to build a continent that is formidable, strong, and powerful. This video is designed to help you dig deep into the history, the monarchy, achievements, bravery of Africans, Black people. Shaka Zulu was not just a warrior. He was a strategist, a visionary, and a nation builder. At a time when African societies were fragmented, he united the Zulu people into a powerful kingdom through discipline, innovation, and military genius. His bullhorn battle formation, short stabbing spears, and strict training transformed his army into an unstoppable force. But Shaka Zulu's brilliance went beyond the battlefield. He built a structured society based on merit, loyalty, and efficiency. He understood that unity, strategy, and disciplined leadership were the key to a powerful nation. If African leaders today embrace his mindset, strength through loyalty, innovation and strategy, and discipline in execution, Africa will not be rising, it will be leading. Shaka Zulu's legacy teaches us that true power comes from organization, vision, and the will to build. That is what Africa needs to experience breakthrough. When you look at people like Kwame Nkrumah, you think these are the people who liberated Africa. And so we should model their strategy. Mind you, most of the leaders that came with the initiative of independence started in the West. So most of their ideas were either mixed with grievances because of colonialism and the experiences that they had abroad. It was not coming from a pure heart and the intent to transform your nation and transform your continent. And these are some of the loopholes that we identify in the process of studying and realizing that those who actually had the love and undiluted spirit to see Africa transform, they did this based on intuition, the drive and the will to see change. Now, when we talk of warriors and empire builders, we've mentioned Shaka Zulu. Another key player that we should look at is Sundiata. You've probably heard of Sundiata. This is the individual who founded the Mali Empire. He established strong governance, trade, and laid the foundation for future prosperity. So these are architects of nation building that we should look at if we are talking about the transformation of Africa. Our inspiration should come from these great leaders that came before us. And this is how far back we should go if we want to have inspiration to bring about transformation in this specific dispensation. We have people like Mansa Musa. This was one of the wealthiest individuals that ever existed on the continent. So he was one of the richest and most powerful African rulers, expanded the empire's wealth and influence through trade and education. Mansa Musa visited Cairo. Upon leaving, that nation had inflation. Just the wealth he possessed was enough for him to go through your nation and you experience inflation. On his visit to Mecca, he had more than 1,000 people following him through that mission, carrying gold and other precious metals. These are people that changed the world. The people in Europe heard about his wealth and decided to come down to colonize Africa because of the gold and the riches of Mansa Musa. These are the people that we should look up to. These are the people that should inspire us to want to think, dream, and want to do something amazing with our lives. We are talking about people like Samori, Menelik. These are the people that fought, stood up for something that they believed in. They had a spirit that was not diluted with hate, resentment, and mixed feelings, or they didn't act based on emotion. So when we are talking about uniting Africa, we should start by uniting our various nations, especially the tribes that are so fragmented and divided that is causing confusion. If you want to lead in Africa, lead, especially in Cameroon, my country of origin. That is the first place to start. How can we unite all the tribes, the 250 plus tribes in Cameroon, into one? And let the Douala language be maybe the only tribal language that we speak throughout the entire nation. This is a good place to start. This is a good place to unify a nation. Shaka Zulu united the Zulu people. He dissolved all those tribes that were causing confusion and said, we're going to have one king here. So if we really want to build Africa, this is a good place to start. Not some lofty democratic idea that is based on ceremonies. There's no actual transformation that comes through our political systems. This is the kind of leaders that we want to inspire in this generation, that will say, let's set aside our tribal differences, unite as one, because nothing happens without unity. This is not something coming from the West. This is not something coming from Europe. This is not something coming from America. This is not an ideology that is coming from the West. This is what individuals like Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, they rose up, unified nations, unified villages, and had a strong empire that the world marveled at. So even before the Europeans came, we were all fragmented into small tribes. Having Africa into nations unified us even better. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But with visionary leaders like Shaka Zulu, we had a different continent. We had powerful empires. And these are the people we should draw inspiration. These are the stories that are not often told. And some Africans think it is the job of Europeans to tell their story. Some think it is the job of the president of their nation to tell their story. It is your responsibility to tell your story. You create government, and you can create a new government if you don't like that government. Are you understanding what I'm saying? I'm saying this respectfully. If you want to build Cameroon, especially if you are part of any African nation, Cameroon in particular, my nation of origin, if you look at a leader that is above 50 in Cameroon, stepping up to become president, and you think you should vote for them, you're just wasting your time. Are you understand what I'm saying? If you look at America, for example, and you say, Donald Trump is above 50. Yes, he grew up at a time where young leaders with energy shaped the trajectory of this nation. And all he is doing is maintaining what has been built. In order for us to build a society that works, we can have a leader above 50 going in as president and you want to go vote for them. Save that time. I repeat, the entire cabinet of the regime that we have in Yaoundé right now, they need to step down. They are not fit, they are not qualified to lead the people that we have in that nation today. More than 75% of Cameroonians are below the age of 40. What they see, what they believe, what they desire, their aspirations, this current regime cannot meet their expectations. Every regime or leader should be able to understand the needs of the people. And if you do not understand the needs of the people, you can't help them. So if you want to go vote and you think there is someone in the nation that you think is competent, guys, let them step up. We want strong and brave men that will lead us into the future. Not weak people with political rhetoric that is basically ceremonial and can't help us chart that path into that future that we all desire. Are you guys tracking? And that is why I go way back to look at the heroes that shaped that continent. When Shaka Zulu had a wound and he needed treatment, guess what? A European showed up with medication. And he realized that his life was saved by that medication. And he embraced the Europeans. So what is my point? Individuals like Shaka Zulu, their minds was not contaminated by resentment. So when we are talking about great African heroes that we should look up to, these are the people. Because look at the dispensation that we find ourselves in. We can draw inspirations from different parts of the world to transform our continent, to transform our various nations, to unite our various nations internally before we even start talking about uniting Africa. Guys, how can you look at your own house, you can't clean it up, and you want to go clean up an entire continent? It doesn't make sense. We have to start there. That is what Shaka Zulu did. Shaka Zulu started by uniting the clans, uniting the villages in a surrounding. That is what he did. Before he even talked of uniting the continent, no, he was focused on uniting the tribes around him, and that is a good place to start. And that is the kind of leader that we need. You need to be physically strong, mentally strong. You don't need to be biased in order to lead the new Africa that we all desire. You have to be free of resentment and historical baggage. Colonialism, name it, almost every nation on earth has been colonized at some point. You can't use that card to swell resentment in the hearts of Africans. All the stories of colonialism, man, they make us feel inferior inside. Wherever we go, we feel inferior when we tell the stories. No, let's tell the stories of Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, Samori. These are the people that we should look up to. Share their stories. It empowers you internally. Again, I made a post on Facebook and I said, if you ask disempowering questions, you can't get empowering answers. Again, I repeat, if you ask disempowering questions, you can't get empowering answers. You need to ask empowering questions in order to have empowering answers. It can be in your personal life, it can be at your job, your relationship. This is how you bring about transformation, by asking empowering questions or looking for empowering facts. Like when I'm talking about Shaka Zulu, these are empowering facts. It makes me think different about myself. But when I'm talking about colonialism, it makes me think weak about myself. But when I ask questions of who are the leaders that led Africa, that led nations and empires in Africa that we look up to, Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, Samori, Menelik, these are the people that we should be looking up to. Are you tracking? Yeah. One of the things we'll ask you if you want to lead Cameroon, can you do 50 push-ups? Can you run? Can you read extensively? Are you broad in your thinking? These are the kind of leaders that we want in this generation. And young people, I'm just saying this because if you look at a leader shows up and say they want to lead Cameroon and they are above the age of 50, they are not fit to lead us into the future. Facts. And if you're below that age and you're going around talking about tribalism, how to take care of maybe the older generations and all that, we want brave men that will rise up, be strong, courageous, men that are faithful to their wives, men that loves women, men that value the opinions of women, but at the same time being a man. Those are the kind of men that we need to lead us into the future. So who is Kwame Nkrumah? Who are all these individuals? Julius Nyerere, Patrice Lumumba, Nelson Mandela. Most of these individuals were anti-colonial freedom fighters. That is who they were. They were not nation builders. That is why most of them struggle with their ideas. And that is why the continent is where it is today. But when you look at somebody like Shaka Zulu, Mansa Musa, they built something. They did something in their time. And we can still testify to the works that they did. Are you tracking? These are the people, not people with lofty ideas and theories. Are you understand what I'm saying? So that is the future that we are building. So Kwame Nkrumah, he led Ghana to independence. All of these leaders were motivated with the idea of fighting the West, freeing Africa from colonialism. This is a mindset and it's everywhere. Brave men in this generation will let go of the past, not be full of resentment. Look at the needs of their people. What are some of the internal challenges that we are dealing with? We are dealing with tribalism. People come to power and don't want to step down. And if we think that we want people to stay in power, then let's create empires. We go back to our roots. We have one strong king in every nation. or one strong president. And after 4 or 8 years, you step down, or 10 years, you step down, the next person leads. But we can't have monarchy and democracy at the same time. And if we will unite, let's have one language. Let the Douala language lead the entire nation of Cameroon. We write it and have that language be taught in every school, including the English and French, which is our national language. That is a path that will help us. Be strong. We dissolve all the tribes, because that is what we will do in this generation. Dissolve all the tribes. We won't have, let's have one. That is the only way to succeed. If not, everyone stays in their corner, keep talking. If you are not careful, we might get colonized, or the country might dissolve at some point in the future. That is what you should do in your respective African nations. Dissolve the tribes and have one tribe. This is what our leaders, our predecessors did. This is what Mansa Musa did. This is what Shaka Zulu did. This is what Samori did. These are the people that inspires us. Not those who studied in the West and did not come back with a free mind, a clear thinking, looking at what the challenges of Africans are, and really look for sort out solutions to help us. No, their minds were contaminated by the pain of colonialism, and so they could not help us. Are you tracking? Now, who are some of the visionary leaders that came up to transform Africa? But yet, their ideas were limited, again, because of resentment. You cannot be a great leader that will really free Africa if you harbor resentment of any kind. And that is why most of our leaders have failed. And then they turn to blame the West. You have to have a clear mind. What are your intentions? Do you really want to help the people? If you really want to help the people, let go of the past. How will it feel if you get married to a woman and all, or to a man, and all you think about is the pain or their past and what they've gone through, and you put that before their face? It weakens them. It weakens them. They cannot be strong. They cannot be courageous. That is why you see most Africans, wherever they go around the world, they are timid, they are fearful, because they have all this pain of colonialism on their face. It has happened. It's in the past. You can't use that against us today. You cannot use that to control us today. We are thinking clearly. That is what happens to our grandparents, not us. We are thinking clearly. We will look at people like Shaka Zulu in this generation. That is how we change Africa. That is how we change Africa. We want brave men. As I'm talking and you're watching me right now, start thinking, what can you do to make Africa great? Start by working on yourself. Read. Number one, you must read. Your mind is everything. How you think matters. I want you to go dig the archives of African history. Read stories of individuals like Shaka Zulu. Start there. Read his entire biography. How did he come to power? Despised young man that was ostracized. They didn't want the mom and him, and because he had all of these limitations, so they kicked him out. But he went out, but he knew that there was something great in him. Shaka Zulu emerged a hero and said, my people want. This is what Shaka Zulu did. He built a society based on merit. He said, none of my children will just rise up and inherit everything because they are my children. They will work for it. He said, no one is going to have any title in this kingdom based on the family that they come from. Shaka Zulu, you will work for it. You will work for it. It's Shaka Zulu. His men walked for miles, over 50 miles by foot. These are the soldiers that he raised. They were brave men. Today, you can't even run a mile. You can run up to 2 miles. We want to transform Africa. We have to go back to our predecessors and what they did, what made them brave. And then we are able to draw inspiration from there, right, with what we have learned in this generation. and where we see Africa going and how we can take Africa into that future. These are the kind of men. If you can't do 50 push-ups, don't stand up and tell me, oh, I want to lead Africa. No, we don't just want people who will speak eloquently. We want people that are strong. This is what this black color means. This is what we represent. Strong people. Created powerful education systems throughout Africa. These are the kind of men that we should be looking up to. So people like Haile Selassie, Thomas Sankara, Muammar Gaddafi, these are individuals that can be termed visionary leaders and reformers. But yet, some of them, their ideas was still mixed with resentment and pain of colonialism. I don't want to sit down with a man that complains, blame, and just keep talking like a woman. No, we don't have that in Africa. That is not the kind of place we go. I mean, we when we look at our leaders and our predecessors, these men were brave men. Some of our fathers don't even talk. They don't talk. You see action. Some of them, when they die, that is when you even get to hear their actual, like, what their life looked like, because they didn't talk that much. Can you understand what I'm saying? These are African men. This is what we look up to. So, guys, if we will lead a continent into prosperity, we need to draw inspiration from great men like Shaka Zulu. And then we have to draw inspiration globally, what is happening around the world today. Shaka Zulu did not resent what was good coming from Europe. He embraced everything that was good to make his kingdom great. That is what real nation builders do. They set aside their pride and they look at what is good for the entire continent. I mean, I was just reviewing my notes on Shaka Zulu. Many gave me goosebumps. Are you tracking? I was just looking at the life of Mansa Musa, the richest man that ever existed from Africa. This man walked through your nation and your nation has inflation. Do you understand what that means? These are the men that we look up to. If you're a black man, no matter where you find yourself around the world, these are the stories that you should dig, read. You don't need to prove a point. You don't need a white man to tell your story. You have Facebook today. The white man is not stopping you from sharing the story of your heroes, those who came before you. No one is stopping you. And they are not even fighting you, because if you come up with something great, tapping inspiration from our predecessors, they will love to learn from you. Most of them have an open mind. We should not go out there and only pick maybe cultures from weak communities in the diaspora and bring back home. No, we only want to pick left-leaning ideologies from communities abroad and bring back to Africa. No, let's pick what is brave, what is powerful, what is enlightened, what can help inspire you to do better for your continent. That is the kind of energy that we need. I'm tired because every book that I have read, written by an African, has the stigma of colonialism. No, we don't talk like that. This is not who your predecessors were. Are you understanding? Every book that I have read by an African has the stigma of imperialism. Where we come from, we don't talk like that. You know that from the household. If you hear your grandparents' stories, they don't do that. They suck it up. There are a lot of errors in families that we look at and we don't even hear about them. Maybe till our great-grandparents or our grandparents are gone. And then you're like, oh, wow, this is who grandpa really was. They don't talk. They don't go around complaining. They will always tell us, let women do that, not men. We come to the West, we pick gay. We come to the West, we pick women empowerment movements and we bring them to Africa. No. What have you seen? Look at what Trump is doing for America today. You just skip over this. He's standing up for his continent. He's standing up for his nation. This is what Shaka Zulu did for Africa. Not Kwame Nkrumah. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Not these freedom fighters. These are not the men that we should look up to. That came all of a sudden, did not have a clear plan to execute, ended up being corrupt. Started implementing communism. That is not Africa. It's not us. We are strategists. We are brave men. We look at what is working. We unite. Again, I emphasize, start with Shaka Zulu. I will love most of you watching this video. After reading the story of Shaka Zulu, you can stay there for at least a year. Just read Shaka Zulu and read Mansa Musa. Study these two individuals. The entire Africa, the liberation that we are talking about will start just after reading these two individuals. Again, I repeat, if you read the story of Shaka Zulu in South Africa and you read Mansa Musa, these two individuals, we will start a revolution in the entire continent that will see transformation that this world has never seen. When you go around listening to the stories of colonialism, it makes you think that this is what Africa is being defined by. We go everywhere. This is what we begin to share with people about us. We are bigger than this. We are bigger than this. I repeat, we are bigger than this. These stories are very disempowering. When you share these stories of the pain of colonialism, do you walk out and you find smile on your face? You feel empowered? You feel like you're somebody? No, you feel like you're a nobody. That is what happens to you psychologically. And that is what these victim stories do to you. And who enforce this? All the Kwame Nkrumahs you talk about. They came back with all these ideologies. And what was their motive? Even education. This is how they inspired us to go to school. They said, if you go to school, you find your freedom from the white man. Hell no. Hell no. Shaka Zulu didn't teach us that. Shaka Zulu didn't teach us that we go to school because we want to find our freedom from the white man. Shaka Zulu say, go to school so that you can build your empire, so that you can build your nation. We were more inspired by the desire to succeed than the desire of fear and the enemy coming. This is the strategy that they have used to keep inspiring most Africans. Oh, if you don't get to unite, the enemy is coming. If you don't stand strong, the enemy is coming. Hell no, we have to unite because we want to build, we want to leave a legacy for our children and our children's children. That is something better for us to be inspired by. Are you tracking? I don't get up every day and beat myself, walk myself, get into the gym because I'm afraid of the white man. No, because I want to leave something for my children, because I want to build an empire, because I want to transform my community, because I want to see people get better, because I want to inspire my community. This is what we should be talking about, not because the white man will come get me. When you motivate people through fear, after you're gone, that mission will fail. Even if when you are alive, even that mission will still fail. That is why most of our liberators failed, including Kwame Nkrumah. With ideas that they could not execute. Shaka Zulu did. I'm talking about people that died in their 30s, some of them in their late 30s, and they had built empires. In their late 30s, they had built empires in Africa. And you want to go to a voting board and vote someone that is 50 and above. No, we are bigger than that. We are better than that. And we will prove that in this generation. A new breed of Africans are rising. Not Africans that will tell a victim story, but Africans that will tell empowering stories. And the white man will not do it for you. Your presidents will not do it for you. Your government will not do it for you, right? Kwame Nkrumah ended up in exile, right? He ended up in exile. His own people kicked him out. They don't tell you that story. because he had lofty ideas. He became corrupt, wanted a one-party system where he can consolidate power. That is what he did. Supported other nations when his own nation was struggling. Lofty ideas. And this is the group of people that we think we should reference. These are the people that we should look up to. Guys, this is time for change. This is time for change. And again, the young people of Africa, it is your time. But who you look up to matters. Who inspires you matters. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Who you look up to matters. Let's look up to those that have blazed a trail with a mindset that was not mixed with emotions and victimhood. Those are the people that we should look up to. Those that when we hear their stories, you have goosebumps. I mean, I was just reading about Mansa Musa and Shaka Zulu. I had chills. Europeans heard about the wealth of Mansa Musa and they started flocking to Africa. They started coming to Africa because they heard of the wealth of Mansa Musa. On his mission to Mecca, this man had 1,000 people accompany him to Mecca, carrying golds and precious metals. This is not a tale. This happened in the continent of Africa. Wealth, unprecedented wealth. I'm talking about riches, guys. This man came to Cairo. And by the time he was leaving, there was inflation in that country. Man, when you hear things like this, and you ask yourself, you should go around talking about colonialism, being a victim, or they did us wrong, and you want to carry this everywhere you go? No, pick the best thing that you can out of this pain and make something out of your life. It happened. We are warriors. We come from a lineage of warriors, the Bantu people. We are brave men. That is what Shaka Zulu represented. The Bantus. They were brave people. He dissolved all those tribes and united the kingdom and say we will be one. And so did Mansa Musa. Built some of the best universities. During his visit, when he's coming back, he brings theologians, he brings professors, the best around the world to come educate his people. This is the story of Mansa Musa. These are brave men that I look up to. When I lay myself into their stories, I wake up thinking different. I look at life different. You cannot play with me. You can't tell me I'm something other than what I know that I am, based on where I know I'm coming from, based on the heroes that came before me. This is the new Africa we are inspiring. Cease from sharing any victim story about yourself. Go read Shaka Zulu, read Mansa Musa, and come back to this platform and let's start having a conversation. Share this video with your friends and let's get inspired. This is the new Africa that we are looking at. This is the new Africa that we are building. Are you understanding? So when I come from a very big family, royal family in Africa, right? I grew up having my father share with me empowering stories about my lineage. He didn't need to give me gold and silver. He just reminded me of who I am. The family that I come from, who my grandmother was, who my grandfather was. That was all my dad did. He was not super wealthy. He was not rich. But he reminded me of who I am. That was enough to take me through life. And today, if you're watching this video for the first time, I just came to remind you, black people, regardless of what has happened to you around the world, do not hold the position of a victim. Brush it off. Stand up strong. Don't even share those stories to your children. Go look for stories of individuals like Shaka Zulu and Mansa Musa and feed your children. It is your job. It's not the job of the teacher. It is your job to do that in your home. Let your children know who they are. It was not a teacher that told me who I was. It was not a president who told me who I was. My parents, my father told me that this is the lineage that you're coming from. You are a warrior. You are a brave man. This is why we named you this, because we know who you are. We know where you're coming from. And this is what you should be doing in your various households. African presidents won't do this for you. Teachers in schools won't do this for you. You need to dig this information and feed your children and let them know who they are. You guys are not victims. And the best way you can empower them is to let them know this idea of slavery and slave trade happened to almost every nation on earth. So we cannot define ourselves based on it. We are bigger than that. This is what Mansa Musa looked like. This is what Shaka Zulu looked like. This is what Samori looked like. These are the people that we should look up to. Young men and women, start working out. You're not just working out every day because you want to keep fit. You're working out because you will stand and be strong to chart change in this continent. Every day, 15 minutes is enough. Work out. Every day, read at least 3 pages in a book. I've started with, I said, start with Shaka Zulu. 3 pages. Go to your local library, online even. You can search this information online. Read at least 3 pages every day of the biography of Shaka Zulu. Before this year comes to an end, at least you'll be done with these 2 books. Shaka Zulu and Mansa Musa. Shaka Zulu will help you to think big and be brave as a leader. Mansa Musa will teach you how to generate wealth for your nation. You get it? Shaka Zulu will teach you how to be a visionary leader. Not just to be inspired by money, but be inspired to change, to bring about transformation in your countries. This is what Shaka Zulu will teach you. Mansa Musa will teach you wealth creation. Those principles are timely. And I'll keep sharing more about these great leaders, visionary leaders, kings who led empires in Africa, changed the world. We were the envy of the world. They heard about us from different parts of the world and wanted to come to Africa and see Africa. Not the kind of kings that will sell their people as slaves, but brave kings that will preserve, fight, unify their people, and make sure that they know who they are and be strong and courageous. That is the leaders. Those are the kind of leaders that I'm raising, inspiring in this generation. That you know who you are. Yes, I'm seeing those on TikTok watching, those on Facebook, those on YouTube. I see all of you. I want to let you know, I'm glad that you are here. Yes, I see the highs. Yes, it is our time. It is our time to think big. It's our time to stand up. It's our time to lead. It's our time to be brave, to be strong, to be courageous, to be men, to be women again, that are not defined by the past, that are not victims, that get to tell empowering stories that inspire the next generation. That is the group of people that we are inspiring in this generation. Are you tracking? My question to you is, do you think Mansa Musa was broke? No. Do you think Shaka Zulu was a weak man? No. Do you think Shaka Zulu went around saying, oh, we have to unite to get our freedom and prepare in case the white man comes back to get us? Do you think that is what Shaka Zulu said? Hell no. Let's build. Let's unite. Let's make this country great. Let's make this empire great. That is what they were inspired by. Change. They were inspired by progress. They were inspired by development, education, transformation. They learned and brought the best back home. When they interacted, they brought the best back home. They didn't come back with ideas like being gay. They didn't come back with women empowerment. They didn't come back disunited. They didn't come back fighting one another. They came back with great ideas, education that can help move their people forward. Somebody like Mansa Musa, he became a Muslim. He used whatever was happening around him to build structures that will elevate his people. That is what Mansa Musa did. Study his history. Look at Mansa Musa. The stories are there. The white man will not tell the stories for you. It is not the responsibility of the white man to tell you the stories. It's not even your school. It is you, a learned individual that wants transformation. Go look for that information and tell that story. Facebook is free. YouTube is free. You have access to your children. You have access to your friends. You have access to your community. Go tell that story. Go tell that story. Let's do that this year. Before the end of this year, we will see a different breed of human beings emerging from Africa. You share the stories of Mansa Musa and Shaka Zulu throughout your community, your families, before the end of this year. And you will see the breed of black men and women that will start rising up in the continent, and the stories that they will be sharing, and the thoughts that they will have, and the transformation that will start in Africa. I hope you got some value out of this video. I believe in us. I believe in the power of unity. I believe in black prosperity, that we can be wealthy, if not more wealthy than most nations on earth, if we tell the right story about ourselves, if we share the right stories about our existence, about our heritage. I believe it starts there. It's not the house that you will build. No, it's the right story that is ringing in your mind. That is why you will see Africans build houses, make money, become doctors, cardiologists. But yet there is that inferiority complex. Everywhere you go, you put your head on the ground because you think you're coming from colonialism. That is all you're defined by. Someone that was colonized, someone that was sold as a slave. That is the thinking. But today I came to awaken your consciousness, to let you know that that is not what should define you. What should define you is the true history and heritage of your people. Shaka Zulu could not live in a community where we have thousands of tribes, hundreds of tribes. He brought them together and said, let's be one. That is Shaka Zulu. And in your respective African countries, dissolve all these tribes. Let's have one tribe. If you want to speak one tribal language, let's have one. Language is a tool for economic development. Not just heritage or culture. It is a tool for economic development. And this is how we should unite and look for the best tools that will take us into the future. It doesn't matter where that tool is coming from. Whichever country you borrow from, make sure you borrow the right thing. Don't be clouded by sentiment. Borrow the right thing. The good thing is what our predecessors did. Wherever they went, they brought back what was good. They didn't sell us out. No, they went out and took something and brought home for us. That is what they did. They didn't sit in a community where they are looking for ways to destroy one another. No, let's unite and build, respect one another, and build a community. That is the Africa that I know. And we can go back there. Don't just go back to 1960 or 1950. No, go back to 1200. Go back to the 1200s and look at our people. Africa was a great place. An empire that inspired the world. I've not even talked about Egypt. I'm talking about those in sub-Saharan Africa, leaders that emerged in sub-Saharan Africa and changed everything. When Mansa Musa was king, the Egypt that you know today marveled at the wealth that Mansa Musa had. Stop fighting. Oh, were Egyptians black or were they white? Who cares? Mansa Musa went into Egypt, and by the time he left, there was inflation. The mighty Egypt that you hear of. I'm repeating, the mighty Egypt that you hear of. Mansa Musa went into Cairo. Upon leaving, there was inflation. These stories are well documented. What does this make you feel? Different, right? How does this make you think about yourself? Different, right? Yes. Not sitting in the corner and complaining. People who complain never change anything. People who blame never change anything. People who criticize with the solution are those who change the world. And that is what we will be doing moving forward in this generation. Examine your hearts. Do you really want to see Africa great? Do you really want to see your respective countries great? These are the people that you should draw inspiration from. Look at their lifestyle. I wish we will have 1 million black men before the end of this year, black men and women before the end of this year, soaked in this information, soaked into the history of these great people, and start spreading this message on every social media platform. Start spreading this message in your families. Start sharing this with your children. Every black man around the world, every black woman around the world, put your children around the dinner table. This is what they did in the evening. They will tell the stories. They will share stories of our heritage so that we don't forget them. Most of these stories were shared around the dinner table. They bring the family together and they remind you of who your father was, your grandfather was, your great-grandfather was, the lineage that you come from, so that you never forget. My father did that every day. He reminded me that you come from a great family. This is who your grandmother was. This is who your father was. They were brave men. My grandmother was a brave woman. And he shared the stories every night so that I don't forget. This is what you have to do. It was not some school that did it. My father did it. And when you don't do this, you go out there and blame the white man, or you blame another individual, you blame the government, you blame the community, you blame the society as the cause of why your children turn out that way. When they are acting out in society, you bring them to order. This is the family that you come from. Don't behave this way in public. Don't this way. If you are not told this, you go out there and mix with others. And all of a sudden, you start talking like them. You start acting like them. And then you come back home with inferiority complex because your parents didn't do a good job to remind you of who you are. Our parents haven't done a good job. Our community hasn't done a good job before you even get to the level of the state. Or talking about white people. The African proverb that says, if there is no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. We need friends within. Because if the friends within do their job, to guard our sanity, put the right information in our minds, we will be unstoppable when we go out there. So start empowering your children from today moving forward with the right stories about Africa and about where they come from, who their heroes are, and what those heroes did and what they stood for. And then just watch that child. Just watch that friend. Just watch that brother. Watch that sister. You'll see them light up with that information of who they are. So, guys, two things, and then I'll let you go. Go read Shaka Zulu and Mansa Musa. We explore this topic extensively this year. And I think this is enough to spark a revolution in that continent. Start walking out every day for 15 minutes. Read at least 3 pages from the biography of these two men that I've given you. Share the video. Subscribe to this platform so that you don't miss out on any episode. That is what true African leaders did. And those who walked with them, this is how they did it. They were united in one kingdom. And they moved mountains. They changed the world. They were the envy of the world. They were the light of the world. They were brave men. Until next time, guys, I want to hear if you like the video. What is your thoughts? You like more of this content? Let's keep pushing and never give up.